Welcome to the background and foreground images video for the RealTimeDesigner. Giving customers realistic representations of their products and their designs will certainly result in a more pleasant and less confusing design experience for them. In this video, we'll show you how to work with the background and foreground images of the RealTimeDesigner. Here's an example product in the RealTimeDesigner that uses background and foreground images. By changing the background color, we see that just the background image area of the retractable banner changes colors. We can also move clip art around on the screen and notice that it's clipped off when we take it off outside of the design area. Before we begin setting up the background and foreground images, let's explain a little bit how the images work together in the RealTimeDesigner. The representation that you and your users see in the real-time design window, commonly this is a 600 by 600 pixel area, that's this area of the screen right here. Regardless of what you see on your screen, the image is made up of several rectangular images laid one over another in layers. Images may have transparent areas that allow areas behind them to show through. The RTD layering looks like this. On the very top, we have the foreground image. Under that, we have the user-defined elements. This is the text, clip arts, images that the user inserts into his design. Behind those, we have a background image. And at the very back, we have a background color palette. That is the colors that you change with the background color. Could be the shirt color, the mug color, whatever it might be. That's the background palette that is in the very back of all the other images and changes color. So that when you have a background image with some transparency, the background color shows through that transparency. The RealTimeDesigner has move layer forward and move layer back commands, which allows the user to rearrange the elements of his design. No part of the design inserted by the user can ever be moved in front of the foreground image nor behind the background image. Like the other RTD tools, you can disable the move layer buttons if you prefer to restrict access by your users. Here are the move layer buttons. Transparent areas or holes in your background or foreground images will give users the feel that they're actually designing over your product. In this particular image, the hole is this rectangle created to represent the back limits of the retractable banner. Before you create your background and foreground images, you need to carefully plan how you want your design to appear to the users. You may use both a background and foreground image, or you may find that you need only one or the other. Keep in mind that any text or art objects placed over the background image can be seen even outside of the hole area. When using a foreground image with a hole, the text and art placed in the design will only be seen where it overlaps inside the hole. All areas outside the hole will be clipped from the user's view. Read your design program user's manual regarding transparency and semi-transparency to gain a better understanding of these techniques to create some very interesting product mock-ups. We're now in CorelDRAW, where we'll show you how to put some of these images together to create background and foreground images. Here we have a picture of a purse. And you can see as I move this purse around on the screen that the area outside of the purse is transparent. The purse itself is not transparent, and it resides on an object which is shown the borders by these square dots. So it's much bigger than the actual purse itself. Okay, over here we have a vector image, which is an outline around the purse itself. And you can see we can change colors of that. And we can even go to wireframe mode to show you what those vectors look like. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take that image and this image. Let's take the two of them and align them so that one line is directly over top of the other. And you can see that they fit together very nicely. Now there's various tools you can use to create these vector images over top of your bitmaps. You'll really need to get into the mechanics of your program using the trace functions, the magic wand to remove colors, various other tools that will help you work with the transparency. Okay, now let's separate these again. Okay, here's the purse, it's blue. This purse is available in many different colors. So what we want to do is just create the effect of the shadowing and the zipper and such by making this image semi-transparent. Let's go up here to the transparency tool, and a little experimenting earlier on showed that around 60% was a good value for that. Now let's align them again. Okay, now we've got those aligned, and you can see if this blue layer here were representing the background color, you can see that when we change the color, it changes the representation of the purse so that it actually looks like the color of the purse changing colors. All right, now let's do a little more fine-tuning here. Suppose you wanted a watermark or a logo or something on this image. And we'll duplicate that down on the bottom just for effect. This could be anything you wanted in this image to give some perspective to your product or additional information. Let's delete what we have here. Now we have one big image. This image is 12 inches by 15 inches on the overall size, and that is scaled properly to match the size of the purse because it's roughly 7 by 8 inches. Okay, so let's get rid of this image here, and let's create an export bitmap of this file. We'll export it. And you have two options for transparency. That could be a GIF or a PNG file. JPEGs at this time don't support transparency, so you'll need to steer away from the JPEGs. Let's call this purse foreground. Okay. For the designer, since we're working in screen pixels, let's change this to 600 pixels wide and 750 pixels tall. So now this image will be exported 600 pixels wide, 750 pixels tall. And we'll complete the export. Now let's go back into the RealTimeDesigner to the admin panel. And here I've taken that retractable banner stand and cloned it and uploaded a thumbnail of the handbag for a test product. Let's go in and configure that. And the first thing we're going to do is configure sizes. Now, all of these background, foreground images, they only apply to the fixed sizes. If something has a sliding size range, X and Y, that's a range size, the background images really don't apply because the images are stretching and twisting all out of proportion. So we're going to go to the fixed sizes. And you can see here from that retractable banner stand, we had some sizes in here that really didn't apply. But the width of the purse was 7 inches and the height was 8 inches. We'll just type that in here for information at this point. You'll see in a minute here where this is going to change. We'll just call this a purse. Purse 101. There we go. Let's update that. Okay, now we've got that saved. We now have a purse that's 7 inches by 8 inches. Let's change our height. Again, this 600 by 600 pixel is a default, but it is not a rule. We're going to go a little taller in this case because of the layout or the proportions of our purse. Now, because I'm recording my screen, I'm kind of limited in our view, so it's not going to look the greatest. But if you were to turn off the screen recording and actually look at it with a normal browser, It's 750 usually fits pretty well. Okay, let's update that again. And now we're going to go to the View Fixed Size Extra options. That's this button right here. And from that button, we will now have several new tools for this purse. The tool that we're interested in at this point is the sides preferences. Now, the sides, each side, two-sided business card, six-sided dice, anything that has more than one side, can also have background and foreground images. So let's go to the sides preferences. Okay, now because I cloned this from our retractable banner stand, we still have some information in here from the retractable banner stand. Remember from some of our earlier videos that it's much easier to take a product that might be similar in setup to the product you're trying to create rather than creating one from scratch. So let's delete this image. And let's change these sizes. Now these sizes are going to match the image size for the product that we created in our drawing program. Let's go back there to remind ourselves. Remember, that's 12 inches by 15 inches, the overall palette for that design. Okay, so let's go in here, and the width is 12 inches. The height is 15 inches. And we'll reset the size here to match, 600 by 750 pixels. We'll reset these margins, and we'll save. Okay, we've got the default set for the purse. Let's go in and upload a foreground image. And that'll be that same image we just created. Purse foreground.png. Get this up here where we can all see it. Purse foreground PNG. We're going to upload that image and save the settings. Okay, you can now see we have a purse image uploaded for the product. We can then go into the interactive margin tool. And what this does is it allows you to bring the area into the screen. Again, it's a little difficult when we're working with the screen capture program to actually get the proper areas of the screen showing. But we could set this here for the image area. Now the printable image in this case is, say, 6 inches wide and 6 inches tall. We can set that. Now we see that that might be a little big. Let's go back down to 5 inches by 5 inches and set it. And we'll move that right into the center of the purse. Okay, now that's our design area for this purse. And I apologize again for this being a little bit off of our screen. But we'll save and return to the setup screen. We now have some margins set, and you can see that those margin values have been loaded into this screen here and saved. You could also type those margin values in if you know them. You can actually type them in rather than using the interactive margin tool. And for very precise work, you probably will want to type those values in. Okay, let's go back to the RealTimeDesigner now. We'll launch the generator for this particular product. And we'll zoom out a little so everyone can see this. Again, I want to stress that because we're in administration mode, we've got extra tools showing. And because of our screen capture video tool, we're kind of limited in our area. So I'll zoom out so everyone can hopefully see this. And we can see now that we have a purse that changes color. And because we left this purse area semi-transparent, we are now seeing some definition, some tone to give that a 3D look. Let's add a little text. And we can see here that as we move the text outside of that margin that we set, the text disappears outside the margin, which requires the user to stay within that margin with their design. Throw a piece of clip art in there. And you'll see that it also is clipped off outside of the design area. Okay, I hope that explains it a little more clearly, how to use background and foreground images to get some very interesting effects in your RealTimeDesigner. And be sure to shoot us an email and show us what you create. We'd love to see new examples and have them to show to potential new clients as to all the many possibilities of items that you can decorate or design with the RealTimeDesigner. Thank you.